Well, I'm pushing my exam back, so great. Great. And that's it. Nothing more to say.
Maybe I'm overreacting to this whole thing, being too dramatic, overthinking, getting myself worked up over nothing. But baby, you said it's over, but cry on my shoulder. It ain't matter, but I'm still thinking of you. On the car ride home, staring at my phone, still invested, but I know you said we fell out of love, boy, that's just how it goes. It's hard to move on when you want my clothes. Picture you, baby, with somebody else. It's killing me softly, I can't help myself. Tell me, oh, you tell me, babe, I should be less reckless with my feelings.
Hello, it is April 3rd at 6:50 a.m. and I'm taking step 1 today. I have a lot that I want to say, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling zen. I literally have not been emotional all day until I'm speaking to you. You've seen the whole journey, but I'm feeling very zen. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident and like eager. I don't think excitement is the right word, but I'm feeling eager. If you can hear someone, that's my mom in the other room. She's driving me to the exam. And let's finish this. Let's do it. Hello, it is April 19th and I got my step 1 school report today. I got it while I was at rotations, so I got a breath. And I didn't want to open it at rotations at the hospital, so I drove straight to A's apartment. He's in the back and he's gonna open it for me because I physically cannot do it myself. And he's gonna give us the good news because it's gonna be a pass. I want you to open it, but don't say it out loud yet.
Okay.
Let me know when you did it.
I already did
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Your test result is passed.
Why'd you say it like that? I passed?
Yeah.
I
Congratulations.
passed! Why are you so monotone?
That's
You were
nice.
scaring the heck out of me.
That's
I really passed?
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Oh my god. Oh my god. I feel like I was a little anticlimactic, but you all saw the journey. I'm literally like, oh my god, I passed. You all saw the journey. And honest to God, this was like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I feel like if you've been through step 1, like you know what it is. It just felt so impossible for so long. And I'm so happy that I passed and it's like officially over. This has been weighing on me for the past 2.5 weeks. And I passed and it's over. This is so weird. I'm probably gonna film like a better outro because I honestly right now don't know what to say, but we're gonna talk again. And like when I'm like together, I think I kind of want to cry and I don't think you guys want to see me cry. So I'm gonna cry and call my mom and yeah, but we passed. Hello, it has been a long time. Oh my gosh. It's June 3rd today. It's been a long time, but I finally need to close this video out, close this chapter of my life out, and chapter on the YouTube channel. So we're gonna talk about a couple of things. I have written all of my points down in my notes app so I don't talk for 30 minutes because we know somehow I can do that. It's funny because in real life, I'm not a talker, okay? I'm not a talker. I mean, I talk to like my very close people. I will talk a lot to them, but I'm really a listener. But to you, I talk nonstop. So I'm gonna try to keep this concise and effective and short. So I'm gonna do this in like 3 sections. The first one will just be like a debrief of how my step experience was. And then some tips, like step specific tips and general student specific tips. And then some shout outs at the end. So basically, let's debrief. The last episode of the Dedicated Diaries prior to this video was a sad video. And I think like leading up to that, you could kind of see that I was going insane more and more and more each week. But then by that video, I was just very sad, and you could kind of see that. Well, you could see that because I almost started crying. And after that, I stopped vlogging because things just got very dark, to be honest with you. They got very dark. I was crying every day at a certain point, starting in the 4th week or right after that. And there really wasn't anything to film aside from me crying and me studying. That's what I did all day. And it was just not productive to like film that and put it on the internet, and I wasn't really up to it. So sorry that I couldn't document every second of every journey, but I really lost myself in Dedicated, and I'm not exaggerating. Those who witnessed it saw a lot of people go through what I went through. I didn't expect Dedicated to be what it was, and I think like nobody warned me. And when I said that to an upperclassman, they were like, yeah, but either way, like nobody can really prepare you. Like someone can tell you you're gonna cry every day, but nobody can really prepare you for what you're gonna go through. So that's why I stopped filming. So yeah, sorry about that. I was crying, I wasn't eating, like I just got really not great. Yes, which we're gonna touch on in a moment, but I just wanted to explain that. Also, I ended up pushing my exam a total of 2 times. So the first time I pushed it by 1 week, which you saw me like clicking reschedule in the last video. And then the second time, I actually pushed it by like 2.5 additional weeks from there. So I studied from February 6th to April 3rd, and I ended up taking my exam on April 3rd. Also, I took my exam 1 week after my school's dedicated period ended. So I was in orientation for a week. My orientation was 2 weeks, orientation leading up to rotations. And I took my exam the Monday of my 2nd week of orientation. And that was pretty hard because prior to going back to school and seeing everyone again after 2 months, I felt like, oh my God, I'm the only one who didn't take this exam. I'm gonna walk in and everyone is like done with that awful period of medical school, and I'm still stuck in it, and it's just embarrassing and everyone will know. And I just had all of these like insecurities about not taking it in Dedicated. And then when I got back, like 1/3 of my class didn't take it yet. And I don't want to say I felt better, because honestly I wanted everyone to be done, including myself, but it just kind of validated that this is a really hard thing to go through and to succeed in. And if you don't take it in your school's dedicated time period, that is okay. All you have to do is take it before, well, honestly, before your school requires it. My school requires it by the end of 3rd year. But you have to take it whenever you can, and you'll get the MD or DO in the end. And then I wanted to talk about my practice exam scores and the timeline with that, just because when I was going through this, I was on Reddit a lot, which can be a rabbit hole, but sometimes it was helpful just to see other people's timelines with their scores. So I'll put my scores on the screen just so you can see, but I'll say them verbally. I took a practice MBME exam at my school on February 3rd, and that was just kind of like a diagnostic exam to see where we were at the start of Dedicated. By the way, to pass SEP, you need at least a 60%, at least a 60%. So I got a 45%, and then I took the AMBOSS practice exam, and the score I got was a 178. They didn't do like the percent scores, they kind of did the old scores, and I just tried to find a conversion for you all so it makes more sense, but I couldn't find one. So if you're able to convert that, like, feel free. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find a way to like convert it, and I didn't want to use something that was incorrect and then give you guys the wrong information. So March 1st, I got a 52%, which that was what I filmed in the last video. And then 1 week later, on March 9th, I took another exam, I got a 54%. So that's when I decided to push my exam for the second time. And March 24th, I got a 62%. So I passed my first one and I felt so much better after passing that. Honestly, oh my gosh, that really changed everything for me. And by the way, a 62% is an 87% chance of passing, which I'm sure I have that on the screen. And then on March 30th, I took the free 120 and I got a 73%. And then a couple days later, I took the real exam and I passed it. So yes, that is my exam score timeline. So you can see there was like a kind of a steady progression there. So I think that's the debrief. I think we can move on to tips now. Somehow we're already 7 minutes in. Oh my gosh. So tip number 1, you need to study in the way that works best for you and that makes sense for you. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You don't have to follow the status quo. And if the status quo isn't working, like change it. Change what you're doing. Don't feel stuck in your ways. Don't feel like it's too late to change if you only have a couple weeks left or whatever. You really have to follow what is best for you. And if you think in your heart of hearts, it's not working, but it's working for everyone else, it's okay, you can adjust. And I think I had difficulty with that for some time. And don't be afraid to change your date if you don't think you'll be ready. I talked about this already in another video in the series, so I'm not gonna like harp on it, but you can change your date. It is really okay. You will make it work. And if you have to push it past when your school requires it, speak to your school's administration and get help. Hi, little baby. They will, I'm sure, work with you to figure out a plan to get you to take it on time and to not have to like delay your schooling and everything. As I was studying, I started with a combo of Anki, UWorld, and First Aid. And then I eventually dropped Anki actually because it just wasn't helping me retain the things I needed to retain. And there was too many cards and I was drowning in cards and making the cards ended up becoming a waste of time. So I did end up dropping Anki. And then also towards the last week-ish of studying, I dropped UWorld as well. And I picked up Amboss and I did the Amboss 200 high yield topics. And that was so helpful. I definitely recommend it if you need a score boost. And it just helped me better understand the level that I needed to be able to understand the concepts and be able to like work through things, because like I would know a disease and I can easily recognize a disease in a vignette. I usually know what disease they're talking about in the vignette, but that's not what the answer is. The answer will be asking about the mechanism or asking about the treatment mechanism or something like that. You just have to really know everything in and out. And I think Amboss 200 high yield topics helped me to do that. So while we're on the topic of study materials, I wanted to talk about UWorld for a second because that is like the biggest thing that everyone uses. I unfortunately cannot see my Step 1 UWorld anymore because that subscription has ended. But if I'm recalling correctly, I think I got through about 31 or 32% of the UWorld questions, and I think my average was like a 52% correct, something like that. So I didn't get through a lot of UWorld. And I would suggest if you want to use UWorld as your main source of study material, which I think UWorld is great, I think that's not a bad idea, I would suggest starting early because trying to get through all of UWorld or even like 2/3 of UWorld during dedicated, depending on how long your dedicated period is and how many questions you can get through each day, is really hard. So I would suggest starting in your first semester of your second year of medical school and just doing like a manageable number of questions a day. Some people can do 40 questions a day. That was never me. And I think if you try to do too many a day, you're just gonna overwhelm yourself and then not do any. So I know some people did 10 questions a day and that was working for them. I just think starting earlier is better. And I also think if you're gonna start early, then you need to find a way to like keep up with the material and like keep refreshing the materials so you don't forget what you did in the beginning of your second year of medical school when you started using UWorld. So speaking of retaining, my biggest issue with studying was not retaining all of the information that I was learning and studying. I was trying to retain through Anki. I already said that that wasn't really working. So I switched to writing everything down. Not everything, but a lot of things. In like my last 2+ weeks, I was writing everything down that I was studying, especially from the Amboss high yield topics. Oh my gosh. I did the deepest dive ever on that and wrote everything down. And I would refer to my notes as much as possible. And then before my practice exams, I would actually read through all of my notes. And if you do that, which I think writing things down is probably like the most effective like method to recall and retain information. If you do that, your notes will get very long. So sometimes I would spend a couple hours reading through my notes before taking my practice exams. What I've heard is the best way to write everything down, if that's what you choose to do, is to like actively like have this running notebook, write things down, and then each night read a little bit of it. So you're like reading it instead of just reading it before your practice exams. And then if you don't want to just passively read, you can write things down in the form of questions, where you have like on one half of the sheet, you can have a question, or you can just have like, I don't know, the name of a drug or whatever. And then on the other half of the sheet, like if you split your sheet in half, and then on the other half of the sheet, you can have the answers to whatever questions or whatever terms that you have down, and then you can just cover the answers. And I didn't do that first step just because I felt like time was of the essence and I didn't have time to figure out how I wanted to write questions and stuff. So I just kind of like wrote definitions and mechanisms and all of that out. But I did do that for some of my shelf studying for my first shelf, and yeah, I didn't think it was a bad method at all. I thought it was pretty good. My final tip, and honestly like my biggest tip, if you take anything away from this video, take this away. If you're going through classes and you're hearing terms and concepts that you don't know what they are, you can't explain them yourself, you don't understand them, take the time to go home and learn them. Like, please do so. And if you do that, you're gonna keep hearing those same terms or concepts throughout your schooling, your classes, your year, whatever. And every time you hear them, you'll solidify a little bit more and more what that concept is, how to explain it, how to apply it. You'll just keep solidifying it and keep understanding it more and more as you hear it. And that's just gonna put you ahead from where you would be if you didn't do that. So for me, I didn't do that. And there were so many things that I heard so many times, and I just kind of like told myself, oh, I'll learn it later, or I'll learn it for step when I'm studying for step. And all of that really built up. And not only did it build up, but it wasted my time during the school year when I'd be sitting in class and a topic or a concept would come up that was one of the many that I just told myself I'll learn later, because when then it's being talked about in front of me, I don't know what they're talking about, and then I'm not retaining any information, I'm not understanding information, I'm not learning any new information because I don't have the foundation to understand what they're talking about. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna give you an example. I remember in class, I think this was maybe the beginning of my second year at medical school, I was like in a class and they were talking about cardiac tamponade. And the way one of my peers, another medical student, just like whipped that term out off the dome, I was like, oh my God, what are they talking about? Cardiac tamponade, like what is that? And I had heard it before, but I didn't know what it was like in that moment. And I was like, oh my God. And then they just had this whole conversation about how the patient that we were discussing could have a cardiac tamponade. And I was just like, la-di-da-di-da, like don't know what they're talking about. And then I went home and did I look it up? No. Did I learn it? No. And then months and months later, I'm in dedicated, I'm studying cardio, and cardiac tamponade came up and I learned what it was. And it was a very simple, simple condition to understand. And it took 2 seconds to understand what it was. But in my head, it was probably something that was so complicated because I didn't know it in that moment so many months prior. Little things like that just really add up. So please, if you don't understand something, like go home and just look it up and I don't know, write a sentence about it, watch a quick video on it, like do something, but don't be complacent in not knowing what's happening around you when topics are being discussed. Okay, we're on the last portion of the video, thank God, because I've been talking a lot, and that is the shout outs. So these are gonna be quick, hopefully, rapid fire, hopefully, shout outs of just things that helped me along the way, people that helped me along the way, and how I think that will relate to you and how they can help you. So my first shout out is the Emboss 200 high yield topics. I already mentioned it, so I'm not gonna harp on it, but if you need a score boost, whether you are like just below passing, whether you're way below passing, or even if you're above passing and your test is in a week and you've already like gone through everything else you could do and you've run out of things to do the Emboss high yield 200 topics. I really think they were so helpful. Next shout out. Dirty Medicine's question bank videos. Oh my gosh. Dirty Medicine is a YouTube channel and he has a lot of videos and I watched so many and they were all so helpful, but specifically the question bank videos taught me how to read a question, dissect the question, and investigate the question. So like, quick example, if I'm reading a question and I'm looking at the answers and I'm like, oh, it's definitely this answer. No, actually, no, it's just too hard to explain. It's too hard to explain. It's too hard to explain without an actual solid example, and we don't need to get that deep. But I just recommend, he has like so many videos in his question bank and he just goes through one question per video, dissects it, dissects each answer choice. And I tell you, he changed the way I was thinking when I was reading questions and doing practice questions and doing practice exams. And he helped me so much to where if I didn't know what the question was about, I still could sometimes get the answer right because of his method. So definitely go check him out. Next shout out, Dove Chocolate. Specifically, the little Dove Chocolate, dark chocolate squares. Oh my God. First of all, they're the best snack ever. I also ate them in college. And you just need a portable, easy to grab and go snack when you're studying. I think most people study with some sort of snack. And if you like chocolate, they have different types of chocolate. I know some people are haters with dark chocolate. I don't know why. Dark chocolate is superior, but anyways. If you like chocolate, the little wrappers have little messages on them. And some of them are repetitive, but some of them actually really hit when they needed to. So yeah, I definitely recommend that as a snack or whatever else you like. You need a study snack. Next is rosemary. Matter of fact, let me go get my bag of rosemary. Hold on. I just got my rosemary. You can probably see it, right? Yeah. Basically, I don't know, on like the last week of classes right before dedicated, we were given like a little goodie bag and this was in it. Just a bag of rosemary, and I didn't know why they gave us this, but then I found out that rosemary decreases anxiety and improves memory retention. So I just always had this on me, and I don't know, in times where I was like really stressed and like literally on the brink of a breakdown doing practice questions, I would just grab my rosemary and like smell it, and I just always had it next to me. And whether it did anything or whether it didn't, in reality, in my mind, it helped me. So I recommend rosemary for sure. I just think it's so helpful, and you can do your own research on it if you want. Next shout out, my cafe. You need a place to study outside of your home. You have to have somewhere to go to just like get away from your little walls, especially if you live alone like I do, and especially if you don't have a pet. Like, you need to go somewhere and just breathe air other people are breathing and hear other human voices and study. And of course, cafes are super great because you can order coffee or snacks or bagels or whatever you want. So yeah, shout out my cafe. The things I went through in that cafe. I love that cafe so much. Oh my God. And now when I go, like, they don't know what I was studying for, but I'm just like in my head, I'm like, we passed up, we passed up, we passed up. You know? Okay, I love my cafe. Next, a sitcom. You need a sitcom, and let me tell you why. When you're watching a good sitcom, like an actual good sitcom, while you're watching it, you forget who you are, you forget your life, you forget all your troubles, all your worries, and you're just like in the sitcom with the characters, and they're just like your friends. That's what a good sitcom should do for you. If you're watching a sitcom and it's not doing that, it's not a good sitcom. So when I was in dedicated, I was watching Girlfriends, and that was so great. And I felt like the girlfriends were my girlfriends, like they were my friends. And when I needed a break from studying and I was like eating or something, I'd watch an episode or two and I just would feel so happy. And of course, sitcoms make you laugh as well. And whether you're like studying for something big or I don't know, you just need to have a sitcom to fall back on when times get tough. You just have to have a sitcom. Okay, moving on. My best friend at med school. Shout out to her, Daphne. Many of you have heard that name before. I think in times like this, especially when you're in school, whether it's medical school, dental school, law school, PA school, whatever, you need someone who knows what you're going through to just like vent or be sad with, or make fun of your situation with, or something, you need to have someone who understands, because you can scream and shout and whatever about what's happening in your situation to other people in your life, and that's fine, but they're not really gonna get it. So shout out her, she helped me a lot as well. Also, my upperclassmen mentors, oh my gosh, you need mentors that are ahead of you on your path. They guided me when I was so lost. They helped me decide if I should move my exam date and like kind of how far I should move it, both times actually. So yeah, you just need someone who's like a little bit ahead of you to kind of like hold your hand sometimes when you really don't know what's going on, because someone did that for them, and then when you're in that position, you can do that for other people. Next, Vaco. Listen, he's the light of my life. He was the light in the darkness of Dedicated. And yeah, there's really not much else to say about him. I mean, if you've seen anything, you know I'm obsessed. And he's obsessed with me, guys. It's mutual. It doesn't go one way. He just made me laugh, made me smile, made me happy when I was going through, honestly, the darkest period of my life. Next, I put these all together: meditation, prayer, words of affirmation, superhero power pose. I use all of those. I would do like a 10-minute anxiety meditation on YouTube before each practice exam, like for the last couple. But you can meditate every day if you want to, if that helps you. Prayer, if that's something that you believe in, I definitely recommend that as well. Words of affirmation, I would say whatever I needed to tell myself to get through this exam, to stop myself from crying, to prevent myself from crying, like whatever I needed to say. I would tell myself it's not impossible. I would tell myself I'm smart, I can do it, all these things. And honestly, there was a period where I didn't believe what I was saying to myself. I didn't believe I was gonna pass this exam. I didn't believe I could get through it. I thought something was wrong with me because other people could do it and I clearly couldn't. And you just have to adopt the fake it till you make it attitude, because one day what you're saying you will believe. Like as soon as I passed my first practice exam, when I was telling myself that I will pass the real thing, I started to believe it because I did the practice exam. But prior to that, did I believe it? I don't know. Probably not, to be quite honest with you. But I still said it to myself anyway. And I would say it to myself in the mirror. I would write it down in my little scratch paper before I would start a practice exam so I could refer to it when I started to lose it. Yeah, 100%. And the superhero power pose, I can't really do it down here, but you basically stand up, puff out your chest, put your hands on your hips and like look up, literally like Superman would do right before he saves the town. And I would do that at home, and I would also do that during my bathroom breaks during the real exam as well. There was some studies on it, and it's supposed to help you with, I don't know, your confidence and something else, but it's supposed to be helpful, so I like doing it. Almost done, I have 2 more. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. What does this mean? My camera overheated. That has never happened to me before. We gotta finish this up. We've gotta finish this up. Second to last one, my boyfriend. Shout out you, I love you. Our calls at the end of the day always made me laugh, and I just say that to say you need someone to laugh with. Even if they have no idea what's fully going on, like you just need someone to make you laugh, and he did that for me, so thank you. And the last but not least, the real hero in all of this, my mother. My mom, honestly, I don't know where I would be without her, but let me tell you, it would not be here. It would not be here today. It would not be here. Mom, if you're watching, which I know you are, I called this woman every single day at a certain point, Dedicated, crying. And she'd sit on FaceTime with me for 1 to 2 hours, just like talking me off the ledge, telling me it's gonna be okay, encouraging me, picking me back up, dusting me off, getting my mind off of things, making sure I was getting something to eat, because I told you that I kind of stopped eating. And she was my biggest supporter. She was everything to me. And I say all of that to say that you can't do this alone. Like you just can't do this alone. Again, whether it's step 1, whether it's step 2, whether it's the bar, whether it's the MCAT, whether it's the I don't know what the dental school exams are called. But whether it's that, like no matter what you're doing, whether it's a business exam, the MBA, like whatever, you can't do it alone, and that's okay. You need a support system, whether that's one really strong person or 5 really great people. Like you just need people to be in your corner, to pick you up when you're down, and I had that. Every shout that I made was part of my support system. I love them all. If you're going through something super dark, super bad, super hard, you feel like it's impossible and you feel like you could never do it, like other people can, but you specifically cannot do it, trust me when I say you can, you will get through it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's so much easier said than done, but it's the truth. And one thing that was kind of scary but kind of comforting is time is always moving forward. It's always constantly going. And that was scary for me in the sense of, oh my God, I'm running out of time to study. But it also meant the time that this would be over for me is coming sooner by the second. The time that I'll be happy again and not crying every day will be closer by the second. And that's true for you too. You will get through whatever you're fighting through, whatever you're going through. So I think that is everything that I have to say. Please leave any questions that you have for me that I might not have answered down below. I would love to answer them for you. If you have something more personal to say, feel free to DM me. And this concludes season 1 of the Dedicated Diaries. I say season 1 because guys, I have to take step 2 in a year. Like, why? But step 1 is supposed to be like the hardest period of your medical journey. That's what all of the even like older doctors say still to this day. Step 1 was the worst. So hopefully it won't get that dark, but join me again for Dedicated Diaries season 2 next year. And that also ends all of the second year content, because I know I was saying I was a rising 3rd year during the videos, but this really ends the second year content, and the next video you see will be me in rotations, which is so exciting. I think that's everything. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you took something out of it. Even if you just took a tip or if you related to what I was saying when I was going through, that means that it was all worth it, and I love you all. I seriously appreciate your support so much. If you like the video, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.